This is for entertainment purposes only. This short story is only for people over the age of 18.
When I was 10 years old, my grandpa took me to a toy store and gave me $100. He told me to get whatever I wanted. I was salivating at the possibilities. I don't even remember what I got. I remember being happy, and Grandpa being happy, and that was a week before his health failed him. I remember the feelings of joy and indecision. I just remember that feeling of so many things I could do, that I didn't know what I wanted to do. That's what I feel like now that I have a mind-controlling crystal. Living frugally, I'm always on the lookout for things people discard, usually on trash day. When I'm coming back to my townhouse apartment from work or the gym, I'll see what people are getting rid of. Then I saw a house with a mountain of discarded items. I swung to the side of the road and took a look before a threatening rainstorm hit. I found this tall, slender cabinet that was only a few feet tall. It would be perfect for stacking rolls of toilet paper, after I cleaned a decade's worth of garage crud off it. When I got the cabinet back to my place, I found it was actually solid oak and would have been worth a pretty penny. I considered going back and rummaging through the rest of that pile put out for the trash, but by then the rain was falling steadily, and I didn't give it any more thought. Cleaning the inside, I got to the top of the inside of the cabinet, and I felt something shift, move, slide. The top had a hidden compartment, only about 10 by 10 by 1 inch, but enough to find the crystal. The cloth bag was covered in spider webs and dead bugs, and the cotton cloth had started to rot away. The bag itself looked like it had been hand-stitched from some kind of white cloth that looked like what flour had been shipped in at one time. The string was simple string and fell apart in my hands as I pulled open the bag, which ripped easier than toilet paper. What fell to the floor was a gold chain, and on that gold chain, the yellow crystal. My history comes into play here. I have 2 jobs. One job is I am a warehouse manager. I deal with idiots all day, and I hate it. I was overjoyed when half the workforce was replaced with robots. Fewer idiots to deal with. My other job is less conventional. I create scripts for people that want a little sexual excitement in their lives. A couple will say they want some surprises in their lives and ask me to come up with a step-by-step fantasy where they don't know what is going to come next. You may wonder if there's money in this. Yes, there absolutely is, but not enough money to live off of. But to make these scripts I need to do research, and one type of research I've done is hypnosis. I've been hypnotized more than a handful of times. It is quite relaxing. That's why when I lifted the yellow crystal up to my eyes, I felt it. Just one glance at that yellow crystal that looked like quartz, and I felt my mind sink, exactly like hypnosis. One look, not even the length of a heartbeat, and I felt like my mind had almost dropped to the point of no return. I ripped my head away like someone had just done a bright camera flash in my face. It took me a few minutes to get my mind back up to full wakefulness. It was the oddest experience I'd ever felt. One glance and I was almost under? Impossible. I pulled up a quick audio file on my computer. This one was supposed to get me to be less of an introvert and make it easier to meet people and talk to them. It didn't work. It didn't help me get any kind of woman. I still can't stand being around people, finding myself unable to relate or connect to others. The hypnotic induction was also crap. It barely puts you under, and the deepening might also not even take up the time it does, but whoever made the file did a very good job waking you up. That's why I started the audio file before holding the crystal up to my eyes. Then I opened my eyes, and the crystal was on my lap. I also felt like an idiot for not just talking to people. I don't know if I can relate to them, unless I talk to them. Yes, I'm a guy in my 30s, but some younger women dig older guys. Sure, I am a tad overweight, but some women like a soft guy. It was then I realized that I had absolutely been hypnotized. I was back as a 10-year-old with $100. What did I want? I thought about it, and I wanted women. I wanted a woman to have, hold, fuck, and be with. My lizard brain was taking over. It worked on me, but I needed to check that it worked on other people, mainly women. 2 townhouses down from mine was a woman I only knew as Dory. She was short, barely reaching 5 feet 4 inches tall. She had wavy, dirty blonde hair that looked like it was from her early teen years. She had thick glasses and a pudgy body. I would have put her age around early to mid-20s. Not my type. I want what I see at the gym, but Dory would be excellent for testing. I went over with the crystal on the chain in my hand and rang her doorbell. She eventually answered, probably not expecting anyone to visit her, since I never see anyone going in or out of her place. She opened the door wearing a simple white t-shirt, no bra, and shorts. Since it was cold out, this was clearly her at-home clothes. With her thick glasses, she looked like a librarian off the job.
Hi.
Dory said with a fake smile.
May I help you?
I don't think we've talked since you moved in.
I said, trying to play it cool.
I'm Louis Elliott, from 442.
I said this while sticking out my hand to shake.
Right.
Dory said, the smile becoming less fake as she took my hand, and we shook for a second.
Sorry, it has been a while. In case you forgot, I'm Doris Crawley, call me Dory. What can I do for you?
I need a woman's opinion on something.
I said, trying to be cool.
What do you think of this as a gift for a friend? I want to be more than a friend.
I lifted the crystal on the chain. Her eyes went right to the crystal. In less than a second her pupils dilated wide, and her face went completely slack. Her whole body was going slack like she was about to collapse.
Let's go inside so you can get a good look at my crystal.
I said, and we went inside her place. It wasn't dirty, but it wasn't picked up either. Junk mail was all over the place. Magazines that looked half-read were here and there. Jackets and coats were thrown on furniture. If she spent an hour picking things up, it would have looked presentable. I got Dory to the couch, with the side lamps going, and with my eyes averted, I held the crystal up to the woman's face. I deepened the trance I had her under. I did what I heard other people do, but in this case, the speed and efficiency was 1,000,000 times beyond what normal hypnotists could achieve. I did the tests to see how deep she was under. She was all the way under, in less than half a minute. She wasn't just under, but to the point that nothing in her mind was off limits. This wasn't just hypnosis. This crystal could have been classified as mind control. I tested my level of control. Dory did not look good naked. Having her stripped naked would have been sexy, if the ocean effect on the fat around her middle wasn't so distracting, and her small floppy breasts were unappealing. Blank of mind and emotion, I had her do something far outside the norm, for me or her. The blowjob Dory gave me was the first one in my life. I haven't had many girlfriends and no real sexual partners. Even so, I knew Dory was trying but had no experience in performing oral sex. My first long-term command was for Dory to read up and practice on a dildo, how to give the best blowjobs possible. I found out later nearly daily she would practice. That first night, she did have me in her mouth, and I didn't last long. How much control did I have over Dory? That was my first question. My second question was equally vague. How long did the control last? Hypnosis doesn't last. I've stopped watching some TV shows and movies just because I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough, and one show was seeing a woman swing a watch before a guy's face, telling him to sleep, and having him be her obedient slave for years. That doesn't happen with a watch. Did it happen with a seemingly magic crystal? I decided to have Dory come to my place once a week. I wanted to see how her commands were going and have her clean my apartment since I'm lazy. For Dory, she was going to really get into dieting and exercise. She was mine to remake as I wanted, so 3 hours of intense weightlifting, half an hour of cardio, and half an hour of abdominal workouts, daily. She also would blow off any other people wanting to take her out on anything like a date. I told myself I wanted the test to be with few variables as possible, but really, I wanted Dory all to myself. The next day, I used the crystal at work. It is my problem if someone doesn't know the difference between 143C and 251K. I made it less of a problem. Instead of firing his ass, I hypnotized him to be a more efficient and productive worker. Another worker saw me doing this, and I had to hypnotize him too, which led to people mentioning an attitude change in people, which led me to eventually hypnotize everyone who I came in contact with. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it worked. We became more efficient than the robots. This happened over several weeks, just to point out. I've been going to Mighty Weight Gym for years. I knew 2 people's names. The day after hypnotizing Dory, I was at the gym. Before I hypnotized myself to be more outgoing, I would have said I made a spectacle of myself. That night, I made friends. At least gym friends. Males and females that I'd seen countless times finally got a name to go with their face. Women were easier to talk to than I expected. Men were just as timid as I used to be. I did the tried-and-true trick of discussing something in common, working out. I put more phone numbers in my phone that night than I had for 3 years total. I didn't hypnotize anyone at the gym, namely because I was looking for one woman in particular. Her name is Zula Putnam, but I didn't know that. I knew she looked like a comic book character from the early 1990s. She was tall, slim, fantastic abs, amazing biceps, and she would show this off by always wearing a two-piece workout set showing her arms, midriff, and legs. Zula's face had eyes that bulged a little bit, and her jaw looked stronger than mine. I loved her smooth sloping neck to square shoulders. She always had her black curly hair tightly bound up, because as I found out later it springs from her head like a puffer fish. When I asked some of my new gym friends about her, learning for the first time her name was Zula, the only thing they all admitted was, she didn't date white guys. Something about the idea of judging someone on their skin color really confuses me and makes me a touch angry. I see someone with tattoos all over them, I know that is their choice, and something I could see a part of who they are by those willful actions. What a person's heritage is, was not their choice. You can't blame the son for what their father did. This saying was something I've always believed, namely because my father was a real ass, and that's all I will ever say about him. Even before I had my social awakening, I never judged a person by what they looked like. I've seen highly attractive women of all skin colors, hair colors, facial features, and the like. I'm not picky about women as long as they are physically fit. Zula is very physically fit, and that is why I found her attractive. Her skin being the color of dark chocolate doesn't weigh into how attractive I find her. I'm not sure why mine would to her. It took me over a week to spread the word at the gym I was interested in Zula. In that time, I saw Dory again. She dropped a lot of fat, but that was just the initial weight. She still had a long road ahead of her. I was thinking about Zula while I let Dory show me how she had improved on her oral sex. When Zula finally confronted me, I wondered how strong that jaw of hers really was.
Heard you were talking about me.
Zula said at the gym one night.
Just wondering if you were single.
I said to someone significantly younger than me.
None of your business.
Zula said and about to storm off.
Hang on.
I said and she turned back to me in the busy gym.
It might not be any of my business, but am I wasting my time wondering if we could get to know each other?
I'm not sure if it was a sneer or a smile that twitched up one corner of her mouth, but her dark eyes stayed the same.
You may want to get to know me better.
Zula said about ready to go again.
But I don't want to get to know you.
This started gossiping all over the gym. I hadn't even hypnotized anyone at the gym, and already I had people on my side. Zula had people on her side too. This got people talking about us. It felt like high school all over again. When I saw Zula at the gym, I would wave and smile at her. At first, she gave no reaction. Eventually she started rolling her eyes at me. Then she would silently mouth the word, no, in my direction. A week of that she would smile when she would mouth the word, no at me. This action got even more people talking about us.
Can I at least buy you a smoothie?
I offered Zula one night when we were working out close to each other.
No, and why are you even interested in me?
Zula finally asked.
I know for a fact that Cindy over there would love to fuck you.
Cindy was one of my gym friends. Divorced, with a kid in college, and the body of a 50-something schoolteacher, which is what she is. She isn't unattractive for being in her 50s, but I have a magical hypnotic crystal to enslave someone to me. I can do better than Cindy.
She's not my type.
I said after a glance at Cindy and seeing her watching me.
Well, you're not my type.
Zula stated, pushing the bar up.
What is your type?
I asked. There was a pause.
Not you.
She finally answered, but even then, I could tell her words didn't match what she was thinking. The weeks I spent pursuing Zula had given Dory time to completely remake herself. Her dirty blonde hair was now red, thanks to me. Her body had shrunk down in the fat department to more acceptable levels, but I wanted it even lower, like single digits. Her muscles had started developing. Her diet had even cleared up some skin issues she had. Of course, her weekly visits to my place had evolved. Cleaning my place naked was one new factor. Having her call me master and herself as slave while in my home was another new feature. Her blowjobs had gone from lackluster to seeing God levels. The first thing she would do when coming over was give me a BJ. Then she would clean my place naked. Then we would have sex. She was on the pill, and we were both clean, so I would take Dory any way my imagination inspired me. Given the first thing she did when she came over was let me test her level of obedience, and trance, which usually went well into the complete mind control level, I didn't fear her ever telling anyone what I'd done to her. Could I have had anyone I wanted? Sure. Swing the crystal, enslaving their minds, make them love me forever. I even did this a handful of times. These women were for sex, and nothing else. I'd go to a completely different gym, usually near colleges, and often later at night when it was less crowded. I'd enslave the staff to not interfere, and give me a key to a more private room, usually in back. I'd see some hot chick and get close enough to her with the crystal outside of my shirt. Their eyes would be drawn to it, and in moments they were mine. We'd get hot and heavy in her bed, or a hotel, but never go back to my place. I'd try out commands on them I would have considered near destructive on Dory. Orgasms so powerful and pleasurable the women would black out. Stuck in positions that were painful to hold and see how long until their bodies would give out. I had one woman I wanted her to become a huge steroid-using bodybuilder with breast implants the size of beach balls. I get weekly nude selfies, and she's at frightening levels of muscle mass. It was nearly 6 months after hypnotizing Dory that she was looking really good. A tight and muscular body. A vacant and blank expression. A body ready for sex with me at all times. She finally got contact lenses, so her glasses weren't always needed. She looked even blanker without her glasses. I decided that she needed some other physical adjustments. She would wear, as much as possible, micro and string bikinis. The only outfits she would be comfortable in were ones showing off her arms, shoulders, midriff, legs halfway on her thigh down, and cleavage. The cleavage was because I told Dory to get breast implants. I wanted big ones on her. I didn't understand sizes, but I knew what I liked. I wanted her chest to have little to no sagging, and be as big as, well, I showed Dory a picture. When in doubt, go big. One change I made was ensuring that Dory loved being my obedient slave and would always see me as her master. I wanted her to be happy while being mind-controlled.
You don't give up, do you?
Zula said one night a few weeks later.
I have very little to lose.
I added.
Fine.
Zula said, rolling her eyes at me as she sat up on one of the workout benches.
Tell me something about yourself that if I learned it, I wouldn't be interested.
Looking for something to dislike already.
I tried to joke.
Okay, I am fascinated by hypnosis.
Zula blinked.
Hypnosis, like people clucking like chickens kind of hypnosis?
She asked, sounding a little shocked.
Sure, that too.
I said with a shrug.
But I also like the eat better, get enough sleep, and less anxiety kind of hypnosis.
That's actually kind of cool.
Zula said, trying not to look at me.
Your turn.
I said, waiting.
My turn.
Zula echoed.
No. I'm sorry I can't.
What about you would I not find interesting?
I asked.
This was a mistake.
Zula said and left the area of the gym quickly. I found out later she left the gym entirely. She wasn't running from me. Dory's breasts are comically large now. I didn't take into account how large 1 liter of volume on each side of her chest was until I saw it in person. To give you an idea of how much that is, take 2 standard water bottles, fill a balloon with that much water, and slide it under pectoral muscles on both sides. That was Dory now. It took some time for the swelling to go down, but in the end, she looked exactly how I wanted her.
Does this slave's body please you, master?
Dory asked 1 week as she was on top of me.
It does.
I said, running my hands over her muscular thighs, up her 6-pack abs, and to her enhanced breasts. If I wasn't already engaged with trying to get Zula, I probably would have dumped that plan and just had Dory as my sex slave full-time.
This slave loves pleasing you, master.
Dory said as she climaxed. I never get tired of her calling me master. Referring to herself as a slave can get annoying at times when she's talking to me about her work, the gym, boys she's blown off, and her family saying she should move back to Mississippi. I did like hearing what was going on in Dory's life, even if it was the same thing seemingly every week.
What is your favorite sexual position?
I asked Dory when she came down from her climax.
This slave's favorite sexual position is the one that gives this slave's master the most pleasure.
Dory stated flatly.
Flattering, but come on, which one makes you feel the best, not taking into account my pleasure?
I asked, still under her. There was a long pause, and I was about to say something when Dory finally said,
This slave feels the most joy when this slave is washing dishes, and this slave's master comes up behind this slave to use this slave's body for this slave's master's pleasure.
It made me smile.
You like it when I take you while you're doing dishes?
I said with a smirk on my lips.
Yes, master.
Dory said, and I could feel another climax getting close.
This slave enjoys serving this slave's master both domestically and sexually at the same time.
I'll keep that in mind.
I said as her body started to shake with pleasure. I didn't stop my nearly daily attempt to get Zula. I'd go to the gym and try to wow her with jokes, stories, and anything I could do. Then, one day, I wore a shirt I picked up from a thrift store that promoted the last Summer Olympics. I got the shirt because it was cheap and in my size. Zula saw it, and I'd swear she was having a panic attack. She ran into the women's locker room. Confused, and knowing most of the people at the gym, I asked if she was okay. I was asked to change my shirt or leave. I changed my shirt, buying a new one. Zula slipped out without me seeing when. The next time I went to the gym, I saw Zula before I even made it to the locker rooms. She saw me, stood up, and grabbed my arm. She was all but dragging me out of the gym.
You're going to buy me a smoothie, and then we're going for a walk.
Zula said to my shocked face.
Any particular reason why?
I asked, noting the feeling of the crystal under my shirt.
I owe you an explanation, but not here.
Zula stated. We got smoothies. We started walking. I noted the temperature and the sun setting, and Zula in her typical two-piece, skin-showing, outfit, and offered her my jacket. She declined at first, but then I pointed out I had several times her body fat, and I'd be okay. She took my jacket. I let her decide when to tell me what she thought I should hear.
Do you know that I was supposed to be in the last Summer Olympics?
Zula asked me. I didn't. That's when Zula told me everything. She was levels above everyone else in high school when it came to track and field. She got a full-ride scholarship because of her track and field abilities. She wasn't able to make it to the Olympics her freshman year of college, but when she graduated, Zula had a year to train for the last Summer Games. Without much money, she got a trainer that was very cheap. There was a reason for that. He was an asshole. He proved what an asshole he was when Zula was qualifying for the Olympics.
I went in for the typical drug screening.
Zula said with a sigh.
I hadn't even had caffeine for months, and they said I failed the drug test. I had benzodiazepines in my system. Do you know what those are?
Benzos.
I said, thinking.
Aren't those to help people sleep?
Something like that.
Zula said, nodding.
Good for insomnia and such. I found out my boyfriend at the time was slipping me the drugs and then having his way with me while I was nearly unconscious. I just thought I was really comfortable and sleepy with him.
Oh fuck.
I said, shocked.
Then the real bombshell hit.
Zula said, sounding almost blank.
My trainer was the one that supplied the benzodiazepines because he had been slipping them to me too and having his way with me. I wondered why I would always need a nap after my training, and that's when I found out why.
I am so sorry for you.
I said and meant it.
I shouldn't have made the association.
Zula said with a faraway look in her eyes.
But they were both white. My Olympic dreams were destroyed by two white guys. Every time I watched the Summer Olympics on TV, I felt like I was going to throw up. I couldn't even hear about anything dealing with track and field without having an anxiety attack.
That's horrible.
I agreed.
I even went to a hypnotherapist.
Zula stated.
To try and get me to stop freaking out and prepare myself for the next Olympics. I guess, because of your shirt, it didn't work.
You have my sympathies, and I wish I could give more.
I said with a sigh. There was a long pause before Zula finally said.
I shouldn't care what your skin color is. I shouldn't care that you don't seem anything like my ex-boyfriend and ex-trainer. I shouldn't care that you're into hypnosis. It's like you're hitting all the buttons to make me freak out.
I sighed. I got it. I understood. Zula was her own woman with her own demons.
Do you want help?
I asked, very serious.
At this point,
Zula said and looked at me.
I'll take any help I can get.
I pulled the crystal from under my shirt and held it up to the light for Zula to see. Seeing the light fade from those dark eyes almost made me stop. I really did like Zula, and I didn't want her to change much. I got her to sit down on a nearby bench and deepened her trance. It wasn't hard. It took less than 5 minutes to enslave Zula's mind to me. I'd been rehearsing what I was going to say to her for months. Now, My fantasy has become reality. I fully woke Zula up with the snap of my fingers. She blinked and looked at me.
So sexy.
She said to me with a smile.
Feel like having a workout in bed?
We went to Zula's apartment. I met Zula's roommate, Awinita Kaniedio, a Native American woman that was into promoting land management. With Zula under my control, she had no problem letting me hypnotize Awinita into being my slave. I gave Awinita the commands I wouldn't give to Zula, about building muscles and dropping body fat to low single digits. I also made Awinita have to get extremely large breast implants, larger than Dory's. Awinita would dress sexy at all times, as little clothing as possible when going out, and naked all the time when home. I wondered what this Native American woman would look like in a few months. I left Awinita to start her new life while I went and had sex with Zula. Zula gave me something I was lacking with Dory. When Zula and I were together, I felt comfortable. It wasn't just sex. It was how we held each other. It was the little movements that one of us would make to be more comfortable and would make the other more comfortable. It wasn't just fun doing the act of sex. It was the bonding that I think I liked the most. We were spending most nights together. I would be at her place mostly. We'd exercise, and then get to her apartment, and have sex. One night, as we were just enjoying each other's company, naked, under the covers against the cold, Zula said,
If I had known how much fun being your mind control slave was, I would have let you do it months ago.
You like doing whatever I want?
I said with a sly grin.
I love doing whatever you want.
Zula said, kissing my neck.
Should we invite Awinita to join us?
I teased, but not really. Zula froze for a second and then relaxed.
If that's what you want,
She said, nibbling on my earlobe.
then that's what I want too.
That's how I had my first three-way. A few commands and Awinita brought her highly expanded chest into Zula's bedroom. I had to hypnotize both women to make them bisexual, but it was worth it. 2 women, 1 of me, and they had as much fun with each other as they did with me. It left all 3 of us hot, sweaty messes, but we loved every minute of it. Then I got sick. Some kind of chest infection made me feel like I was drowning while breathing. I was laid up for days. Thankfully, Dory came over, in that time, to take care of me. It isn't like she had a choice. I was even feeling better one day to take her from behind while she was doing the dishes. Then the inevitable happened. I've been holed up in my townhouse for about a week. Then Zula came over with bags of groceries. I was on the couch, and Dory was in the kitchen, and Zula came in and headed right for where the kitchen should have been. This was how Zula and Dory met. It was not a good thing. Zula was pissed that I had some naked big-breasted floozy serving on me hand and foot. I finally got out of her that Zula was pissed it wasn't her I had waiting on me hand and foot. Dory was pissed that she finally met one of my other women, and it was not what she had expected. Dory was fighting her programming to the point she was almost catatonic. It took me pulling out my crystal and hypnotizing Dory to find out what was wrong. Zula was black. That's what was wrong according to Dory. I was having sex with a black girl. What the hell is it with these racist women? It took me a lot longer than I expected to resolve these issues. Zula was easy. She had a job, a goal to go to the Olympics, and Awinita to keep her company. I didn't want Zula to catch my cold. She didn't either, and that's why she waited until I was on the mend to come see me, despite talking and texting a lot while I was ill. Dory was a different problem. Dory grew up in a household full of people that saw anyone different than them as inferior. For some reason, her family in Mississippi couldn't find one good thing to say about anyone with African heritage. The Chinese were all liars. Everyone from the Middle East was filthy and dirty. Did Dory really believe all that? Not exactly, but such indoctrination from an early age is hard to beat. To really fix things, I had the 3 of us make love in my bed. I had to make Dory bisexual, and that took another use of my magic crystal. In the end, the 3 of us went at it for an hour or so. I was exhausted and conked out while the 2 of them kept going. The next morning, being the weekend, I sent the 2 of them off to their respective homes, remembering how wonderful the night was. Then there was pounding on my door.
You asshole.
Dory said on my front porch in a gold micro bikini.
You fucking asshole.
It was about this time that for months, or maybe it was a year by then, I had Dory come over once a week but always sent her away with no memory of what she did at my place. This was the first time she remembered and figured everything out.
You hypnotized me to be obsessed with exercising, likely why I have to wear skimpy clothing, and got these bowling balls on my chest.
Dory yelled at me.
Then last night you, goddammit, made me have sex with another woman, and I loved it. A black woman at that.
She shoved into my place, and as soon as I closed and locked the door, I could see Dory's expression change. She looked at me with soft eyes as she said,
How may this slave serve you, master?
Then her face scrunched up, like she was in pain on the inside. She was clearly fighting, maybe my programming, or maybe her desire to give me more oral sex, but she was trying to fight it. In an instant that pained look on her face vanished to calm and smooth features. Her eyes took on a glassy, distant look.
Please excuse this slave's outburst, master.
Dory said flat and emotionless as a robot.
This slave exists to serve your every desire, master.
Such drama. I pulled out the crystal and started digging into Dory's mind. It wasn't hard. Dory had a crush on me ever since I first hypnotized her, even if she didn't remember anything. She dreamt and fantasized about me at night while touching herself. She didn't think it was odd to be that into exercising or getting breast implants or showing off her body, until she realized I had been hypnotizing her. She really did like having sex with me, and since she remembered it, this time, she was eager to do it again, but she wanted me all to herself. I could respect that. After a bit of digging into Dory's feelings, the fact she loved just about everything she and Zula did together, then being bisexual and with an African-American woman, was really fun. Her family must never know. Dory kept looping back to the idea that I was her master, and she loved me and being my slave. This all goes back to the idea of having options. I could do anything. I could keep Dory as my obedient and mildly hypnotized slave. I could have her be my lover and the lover to Zula, and any other girl I bring over. I could have Zula move in with me, and have Dory move in with a Winita, maybe make them lovers too. I could move to a big house, bring in all the slaves I could handle, and spend the rest of my life living in debauchery. It was that same feeling of indecision. No one choice was better than the others, or worse. It all came down to the question of what did I want. I finally got what I wanted. I first got a 4-bedroom house for a song. Not too far from the townhouse that was my former home, but in a neighborhood that wasn't totally run down. I had Zula, Dory, and even a Winita move in with me. Admittedly, I didn't know a Winita very well, but with a swing of my crystal she became anything I wanted, so that didn't matter too much. Dory became the maid and cook, mindlessly obedient most of the time, wearing a fetish French maid outfit. During the day Dory goes to the gym, and gets things to run the house, and at night I either have Dory join in the fun, or just stand there, waiting, like a good slave should. Zula and I are more than a couple now. Zula has no problem with me having other women, because I made sure she didn't have a problem. Most of the time Zula participates. Zula does like having me all to herself, to do things to me that push me an inch close to the edge and then takes that inch. I'm not sorry I fell for Zula and hypnotized her to be mine. I am glad that I can help her with her endeavors to get into the Olympics. I do have to be careful. I don't want Zula to be pregnant when going for gold. This is where I'm at right now. I wanted to get down the events so far. I have one final event that I plan on enacting tomorrow. I have a ring. It is in a small box. I plan on showing it to Zula tomorrow, while I'm down on one knee. I know she'll say yes. This is one possibility that I am certain of.
The end. This was a work of fiction. Any similarity between people, living or dead, is purely coincidence. This scenario did not, or should not, have happened in real life. Thank you for listening.